Hi there. So, what's wrong? Have you identified something that's bothering you? An addiction? A pattern that you seem to be repeating, either in the way that you feel, or the way that you act? What's bothering you? Have you been able to acknowledge it for yourself? Maybe you haven't been able to look directly at it. Let's take a look. Let's be brave together. If you already know what it is, let's just take a moment to gather anyone on board that needs us to hold space for them while they are brave enough to look at it. Okay? So let's be brave together and take a look right at it. What is this thing that's bothering you? It feels bad. It's holding you back. Maybe you're frustrated. Maybe you have tears just upon looking at it. Let's identify why it's bothering you. What would be so bad about that? What is so bad about that? What does that mean to you? You're experiencing this thing. Maybe you're experiencing it only in one area of your life, or maybe it's showing up in a lot of areas in your life. Maybe it's been affecting you for a long time. Maybe you've just realized it's been affecting you for a long time. Maybe you've known for a long time, and maybe you had no idea until just now when you were asked in this safe space to acknowledge it. Now I want you to look at why this is bothering you. Why you have this way of thinking or feeling. Why you have this belief. This is the step where you validate yourself. Whatever you're experiencing is a valid thing to experience. We know this because you've been experiencing it, and there's a reason that it's there. Even if someone else has told you it's not valid. Even if your logical mind tells you it's not valid. There is a reason this is there. This is the reason that this is happening. There's a reason why you're trying to avoid this. There's a reason why you're beating yourself up over this. I just want you to validate why this is bothering you. Take as much time as you need. We're going to hold space while you validate that for yourself. You don't need our approval, but you have it. There are no judgments here. None of the experiences or feelings or addictions or compulsions or loops or patterns that you find yourself in or limiting beliefs that you've been living by, none of those are judged here. Valid. But you need to know that, and you need to let yourself know that you know that. And now, I want you to pause the video if you need some more time in your validation of yourself. When you're ready, let's move on to the next step of acceptance. In this step, we simply accept that this is the case. We're not trying to deny it. We're accepting this as our reality, or as our experience of reality. Meaning this is something that we have experienced, that we are experiencing, maybe that we even feel like we don't want to experience anymore, but it is in the reality, and we accept that. Accepting it doesn't mean you agree with it or that you want it to keep happening. Accepting means you don't resist that it is happening or the fact that it is a reality. It doesn't mean that it will never change. It just means you're accepting what is. In this moment, this is what it is. If you have thoughts in your mind come in to try to tell you about how it's not safe to accept it because that's like saying you want more of it, that's not true. What you're actually doing is neutralizing the field by accepting it, meaning you're no longer going to push against it. So you're bringing yourself more closer into balance on this topic by accepting it. And when you're in balance, that's when you can get free of it. But you're not doing this so that you can get free of it. You're doing this because it simply is, and you're accepting what is. This brings you into balance, which is also neutrality. Once you've understood and been able to accept, even though you may not agree with, that this is the case, that this is the experience, that this is your behavior, that this is the pattern you're in, that you feel stuck in it, that this was done to you, that you feel powerless to it, accept whatever it may be. And now, with the acceptance of that as your reality, you're no longer pushing it away. And now the next step is you're going to basically become the parent to the emotions that were holding this thing into place in your reality. These emotions are going to be something that you've probably not allowed, that you've pushed away, distracted from, projected out, denied, suppressed, repressed, been afraid of, been trying to avoid, adapted away from. So instead of doing any of those things that you may have been very well practiced at doing, instead of being present with this emotion, you will now allow this emotion, this feeling, whatever feelings are associated. So the emotion brings in a wave of energy, which your story that you've told or the overwhelm you've experienced attaches to it and makes it a feeling. And these feelings need to be fully having our presence in order for them to neutralize. We are going to bring balance to this. We are going to neutralize it. And our bodies are transmuters. When we resist the current, the wave of energy is resisted, suppressed, denied, or projected, meaning we'll only see it in that person, not in us. We kind of deflect. We are not allowing it to flow through, and this causes us issues. That resistance is actually the discomfort we end up feeling. That resistance is at the base of an unwanted behavior or thought or feeling. When I say that we're going to be present with the feelings, you may think the feeling has never left. It's always been there. And what I want to point out is that isn't true in many cases, that the feeling's been pushed back, meaning you've had the feeling, but you didn't want the feeling. The difference now will be that you will allow the feeling fully, without wishing it was different, without making it someone else's fault, without wanting it to be quick on its way out. You will allow it to be with you for as long as it wants or needs. It's the analogy of being a parent to this emotion. It's because you are the bigger version of yourself that has already survived everything that you've been through up to this point in your life. You may have been even dealing with this on the back burner, knowing it was there all along, and still carried on with life up until this point. Up until this point, this pattern or behavior or loop or feeling or addiction has been something you carried, and at this point it's become too much and it's ready to be neutralized and let go of. And the way to do that is going to be allowing that emotion, that feeling that you associate with what is happening or what is at the root cause of why you're doing this or feeling this, what is bothering you, the feelings associated with what is bothering you. There may be a lot of them, so you want to take one at a time, acknowledge it, let it be with you. Not to push it away and not to be free of it, but because you're taking responsibility of being with it, of seeing it, of letting it be there. You see how this space is where neutrality opens and allows it to keep moving through. It will leave on its own when it's time. It's important not to do this for that purpose. That will be a natural byproduct of you caring enough to be present with the feeling. It may feel like a very subtle difference, but if you care about the feeling so that it will leave, that won't work the same way because you're not neutral. You must allow it to be. Like it's a tree you're standing next to. You wouldn't try to make that tree disappear or push it away or act like it was someone's fault that it was there. You would just stand next to the tree. It's like that feeling. So you do this with each feeling that you identify coming up as a result of the acceptance of this. And be as present as you can be for as long as it's needed. If there are tears, be present with those tears. Let that go right through you. This process is something where I ended up allowing myself to picture that feeling coming into my heart and just letting it be there and like always taking it in instead of pushing it out. Always taking it in instead of pushing it out. And our hearts are this infinite access to source love energy, creator energy. This alchemizes the energy. And we access this space when we're in neutrality. So by allowing this feeling to pass through, to neutralize, to be in your heart and then carry on through, notice the next time you experience that thing that normally would have activated those old ways of being or feeling, or the addiction, the compulsion to behave in a certain way, or react in a certain way, or to think a certain thing about a certain person, it just won't be there anymore. You'll notice that you're not stuck in that pattern anymore. So, let's take a little bit more time to be present before we end this video. And this video can be a resource for you. You can come back to this anytime you identify that there's something bothering you. And you feel like you'd like a guide, use this as your guide until you're ready to do this for yourself. In the moment, as things arise. In the beginning, when you start this process, it might be something you do in retrospect. You might say, oh, I did that thing again. Come to this video, we work through it. Eventually, after doing that enough times, you'll remember the whole process, you'll feel comfortable, and you'll trust yourself enough to take yourself through the process. So consider this video like training wheels. use it as long as you need to, and then when you're ready, you do it for yourself. So this is what presence is. It's coming into the now moment, not thinking about the past, not worried about the future. Those things only live in your mind. We're being present in the now. Sometimes following your breath, watching your breath, can help you stay in the present moment because the breath is happening in the present moment. Also, let your mind rest on something that's in the present moment instead of wandering or worrying. The more you do this, the easier it will be. Perhaps when you first start, it's difficult to stay still in the moment. Your mind wants to keep wandering. It's okay, just bring it back. Be very gentle with yourself as I've been gentle with you through this process. This is a process where gentleness can really help us do the work we want to do. The heart is open in a gentle space. Okay. So, if you want to share in the comments if this was helpful for you, I'd love to hear about it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.